Good day, rescue enjoyers. So, right now it's like 34 hours since the rush store rotated. The first Halloween rush store for 2025, the October 23 rush store. So, I just want to show you the first 24 hours of sales, and it is pretty... it's madness. The Ghost Furnace, that did over 31,000 subscribers. So, yeah, that happened. And then all the other skins got some pretty high sales. Lots of skins here are definitely going to go over 20,000 subscribers. But this appears to be the contest winners. And typically, the second week of Halloween tends to have a whole lot more skins. I know you're going to mention like the wallpapers, the items that have returned, but no, more of these, the actual skins. We have another 300 skins that potentially could be picked. What will it be? Oh, I had to start anticipating. And I guess we also want to hope for collection continuations. So as much as this is doing very nice and whatnot, we did see some brand new clothing pieces, brand new miner hat, a backpack. And when I looked at them, I was like, we have concerns, especially with seasonal skins. And I've talked about this in the past. In fact, I've talked about it a lot. Typically with Halloween, the best thing to chase after is, well, just the items really. Brand new items, or just putting some, putting down some barters for items in the past that have already come out, and they've been brought back again for a cheaper price because they usually do. Typically, in some instances, we see certain items like the mummy wraps rise up in price, but then it's reintroduced in Halloween again and it goes back down. There are some nice ways you can actually make a little bit of profit. So learning from 2024's batch, I thought, you know what? We could actually make some pretty decent profit if luck is also on our side. So let's now quickly switch over to here. Let's discuss the current sales. Oh my, that is ridiculous. That could potentially reach 60,000 subscribers. Now, with all due respect, it's a very cool transparent design. We've never seen that on a furnace before. Could we see that potentially happen again though? But what other things would float and make sense? Anyway, the burlap is doing very nice, and by default, it does look like it's going to work out quite alright, purely based on the fact that we just don't see that much burlap being accepted. Now, a few skins are down in price, but most skins right now should be down pretty bad. It's October. Also, the Counter-Strike market crashed, and a lot of people want to try and buy some knives because they're very affordable right now. Do you consider the prices worse off than what they were like a week or so ago? Some people are like jumping up at me and saying, Hedge, Counter-Strike's killing rough skins. Really? I mean, it was already down bad, but anyway. Back over to here. These do look reliable, but it is expected they're still going to suffer. And these are primitive skins, but it still applies to like all clothing skins in general. With all of this being Halloween themed, it's going to be out of season fairly soon. Now, what I'm saying also applies to Easter skins. It also applies to, well, of course, future Halloween skins, and of course, the upcoming Christmas skins. We've been through this many, many times. If I could just quickly navigate to the past, so over to here, go on SCMM, it's just the fastest way for myself. I want to remind you what we saw for Halloween last year. We saw Ghost Guys, a very nice white but glow-in-the-dark design. We also saw Zombie Tier 3. We also saw Pumpkin Hoodie and Pants. Now, independently, when it's during the day, this is very helpful and so much more affordable compared to Arctic Protection primitive skins. They are cheap, they are approachable, people don't like them as much because they glow in the dark. It's not that bright, but anyway. Things would still likely work out even better if we saw a collection continuation. Really? But honestly, that's the main thing. But with its white design, people have appreciated it. You might have thought maybe with this being somewhat green, people would appreciate it, but no. Still has like some pretty interesting like pink on the back of the brain. I think this is one of them with the brain in the back. Let's just quickly remind ourselves. Nope, it's just a bit goofy. But anyway, because we saw like no signs of a collection continuation, that hasn't really worked out very well. But a lot of anticipation has happened with the Pumpkin Hoodie and Pants. We are fully well aware that we could potentially see a jacket maybe being accepted. So pumpkin armor, very successful over the past few years. 2022, Tier 2's accepted. 2023, road sign gloves are accepted. Last year, 2024, hoodie and pants are accepted. Could we see the jacket? Now, can I remind you, over the course of the past year, this has been a bit not good. And you'll see it very easily. So let's just go to the Steam Marketplace. So pumpkin hoodie, right now you're sitting here at what, like $2.22? Okay. The Barders are also doing a pretty good job showcasing that's fairly in demand. What price did you sell for again? Oh yeah, $1.49. That's in the positive. But if I could show you how it was literally like at the very end of October last year. So let's just go show you that. Oh, look, it drops off real quick. This is a big concern with every clothing armor piece for every seasonal update. So Easter clothing armor skins, Halloween clothing armor skins, Christmas clothing armor skins. Once the season's over, it drops off. So typically with Halloween, it drops off pretty quickly towards the end of the year, especially as we go through Christmas. Why do you want to wear Halloween skins in Christmas? And with Christmas skins, it tends to drop off real bad once we go through Easter. So, at its lowest, this actually went down to about 50 cents American. But in anticipation for potential collection continuations and, of course, Halloween, oh, this rose up. If we do not see that collection continuation, do not be surprised if this actually goes down a fair bit. Don't be surprised if it goes down, back down to less than $1. Here's hoping we do see the jacket. But the main point is, in waiting for the next year, prices clearly went down. And when you see no signs of a collection continuation, it doesn't do very well either. So hopping back over to the current store, let's go do that. As you'll see with the burlap, same things would apply. Here's hoping that next year we potentially see like a poncho. Maybe we'll see like some hide boots, something like that. Might be pretty interesting. Maybe we end up with like skeleton costume, hoodie and pants. There is one concern, this does glow in the dark, and I'm not sure if everyone's going to go super crazy for these, but maybe, again in anticipation for Halloween next year, why not try and pick these up for about 40 or 50 cents with a buy order when they become marketable? Maybe it could work out. So, to be very straightforward with you, to hope for continuations, it might be a bit silly, but you also have to wait an entire year. Skin creators can't submit multiple skins. It's literally one a year, and you've got to wait the next year. So, Tooth Monster, in this current rush store, we saw the head wrap and the poncho being accepted. But if we were to go ahead and look at the previous skins, it's only slightly in the positive, but it's still bounced up. This was down so much worse, like a good half a year ago. But when this appeared, it wasn't even an actual like core piece. So, with core pieces I refer to as tier 2, tier 3, hoodie and pants. If we saw that, I think this would be much more solid in the positive. But with just like some primitive skins being accepted, alright, fair enough. And I had paired this up on my rush store rotation video just to get a good look at it. It does blend in quite nicely, so yeah. Once again, just point out, rush store rotation right there. All the chapters for the skins are right there. Ooh. Anyway, hopping back over to here. This still caused this to spike up. But do remember, much like what we saw with the pumpkin hoodie and pants, it did drop off pretty bad. So yeah, when it comes to clothing and armor, it tends to be pretty reliable, where it'll go down in price real low a good month or so later. But then, after that, in anticipation for the event happening all over again, it will start to rise up. So as you can see here, regardless as to whether we were going to see a collection of continuation or not, this still rose up, went down again, rose up again, kind of like stagnated for a bit. Oh look, collection continuation. So yeah. Yesterday we saw a few sales of just over $2. It has calmed down a fair bit, but for a very long time people didn't care. It was out of season. But as we start to get a little bit closer, yeah. Now typically, Christmas skins are a whole lot more in demand usually, especially compared to like Easter and of course like Halloween. But we still saw the nice collection continuation. Cool. Next week, there's a lot of skins that would greatly appreciate a collection continuation. So we've already mentioned like, the pumpkin armor. But just to remind you with last year, we didn't only see those 3 skins, so, Ghost Guys, which could potentially get the burlap clothing. Well, I might as well just show you. That would be a nice thing to do. So let's just go to here. Workshop link, please. Could we potentially see Ghost Guys burlap, which I think a lot of people would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate? It wouldn't surprise me if it's going to be the glow-in-the-dark version. But just to confirm, that's all white. During the day, very nice, white, primitive camouflage. At night time, quickly strip naked. So yeah, just to help you out in the game, of course. Now this right here, it would have been nice, but Skin Creator wasn't making clothing armor. People obviously noticed. So yeah, bed, not continuation for the tier 3. Then over to here, as we've already showcased, with the jacket being submitted. Ooh, people rubbing their hands in anticipation. So cool. Let's now go over to the second week to remind you that we're also hoping for maybe, I don't know, mummy wrap jacket. What could that potentially have? Well, if I look over to here, you'll see for yourself. Oh, look, a bandana. It isn't much, but it probably will still do quite a lot. So a bandana, wouldn't say no to that. So hopping back over to here, what else do we see? Awakened face mask. Yes, we're expecting A nice continuation. We're expecting tier 2. I showcased it in a recent video, my Rust Workshop skin checks continuations for Halloween video. Looking very nice and gruesome. Wouldn't say no to that. What else we got? Oh, look, there you go. There's Tooth Monster. For a very long time, wasn't doing very well. But then when we saw the continuation, boom, suddenly up. So looking sweet, looking pretty cool. But just remember this. Even as we're getting very close to Halloween, the majority of the skins here are down pretty bad. It's unfortunate. What do you reckon could potentially happen with the next Rustore, though? Look at the price. Look at the price. Just saying. And now, over to here. We also happen to have Nightmare Clown. That was a nice set. Unfortunately, we didn't see a collection continuation. Price has been a bit meh, but it's not exactly doomed. What I can confirm is we have seen Slime Monster Hoodie and Pants. Could we see that being accepted? Could we anticipate the tier 2 Spike and Price? Well, of course you can. So how's that currently holding up? Well, that's only up by 7%. That's down by 14. That's down by 17. So, you know, just saying. We'll see. All right? But whatever potentially gets accepted that's brand new, well, I mean, same rules apply. So, as we're basically implying, skeleton costume, you do look cool, and you might be fairly reliable, but it's still expected it's going to probably drop off by about half its price. We need to anticipate collection continuations next year. With the pumpkin boots, technically speaking, that can actually blend in quite nicely with the pumpkin armor set that I just showcased to you. That's anticipating the jacket. Because unfortunately, in 2023, with that pumpkin armor collection, only the roadside gloves were accepted, not the boots. So I actually showcased pairing this up with the collection in the Rust rotation video. So go ahead, skip ahead to the pumpkin boots. You'll see that for yourself. Oh, how ghastly. Pumpkin boots. Pumpkin Crocs with socks. So, all right, that's cool. But then, with what we have over here with the miner hat, this is in a very, very, very strange spot. We've already had 3 miner hats before it. These ones have done insane sales. They're all starting to suffer now, and this is something we've seen happen many, many times previously with the previous focused items of the month. Basically, we get so many skins accepted in such a short amount of time, and then they start to suffer because there's too many options. Very affordable, approachable options. Angelic Halo, I'm very surprised to see you actually dropping off, but hey, it is what it is. Maybe Counter-Strike really did affect the Rust market. Oh, I'm not joking. I'm joking. Anyway, Surgeon Hat. There actually could have been more to this, and I certainly am hoping to see a collection continuation next year. Consider this. Not everybody can afford Surgeon Scrubs, and this was actually vying to be something like that. You see the bandana there? Oh, imagine if we got the bandana. But Face Punch didn't do that. They didn't accept the bandana with it. So, it is what it is. But next year, maybe he'll do a second attempt, make it a little bit cleaner or something. Maybe some leather gloves. The year after that, hide boots, some burlap shirt and pants. Nice and light blue. Oh, what do you reckon? That'd be pretty sweet, wouldn't it? But, unfortunately, with so many miner hats being accepted in such a short amount of time, you would expect that surgeon hat to suffer. And that would be the realistic outcome. But, as I said, what about next year? What about next year? So, you're probably sitting there and saying, what's the conclusion then? What's the moral of the story? What I'm saying is, what do you reckon I did when I looked at this Rustore last year? When I looked at all the skins? I told you what I did. I remember doing the abnormal barders. I looked at these hoodie and pants, and I warned everybody, guys, I know these are going to go down pretty cheap. So initially, I actually did like 30 to 40 cent barders, but I also did like around 50 cent barders. So how many do you reckon I bought? If I could just navigate over to here. Oh, look, there you go. Ta-da! I've got quite a lot of pumpkin things. Yes, indeed I do. And the prices I bought them for? Well, I just told you. This happens a lot more than you think. But you've kind of got to be very, very, very patient. And you also have to have the funds. So if you also, unfortunately, got like badly affected by the Counter-Strike, crash. Yeah. Got quite a lot of carvable pumpkins. Oh, yeah, I might want to consider selling them. Should do. I should get a move on. So, yes, we've only got one more week of Halloween, technically speaking. Still like people celebrate on November 1st. Well, I mean, cheap chocolate and whatnot. Ooh, anyway. So, looking pretty sweet here. But I knew about this. I'm just showcasing that it proved to be successful. I've actually sold a few. On my main account, unfortunately, the Counter-Strike crash caused me to lose all of my funds. Don't worry, I only had like about $200 worth. And I still have the asset, which I could probably sell in the future. But point remains is, it was not hard to sell these skins. But what I care more about is the possibility of seeing that jacket. Or, if we don't see it this year, next year, I'm anticipating tier 3. I was actually anticipating tier 3 this year, but the jacket's still like a nice positive anyway, so cool. Right. Now you're going to sit there and say, okay, well, we still have to kind of wait for next week. Well, it's not just that. I know we don't really have that many clothing and armor pieces, but with the next Rust store, it is expected that we very likely will have a bigger Rust store. So technically speaking, this Rust store was the contest winners. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, only 11 skins in total, all right? But if I were to go over to the current Rust store, yes, this Rust store has 14 skins with the brand new wallpapers and, of course, with the items that returned. Huh. What I'm implying is the next Rust store very likely could have, well, it might have up to like 20 skins in total with the items, with the wallpapers. So, yeah. Here's hoping we do see some very interesting collection continuations. If you aren't fully well aware like what they are, consider going over to my YouTube right now if you so wish. If you could go to the previous week's Rust Workshop Skin Checks video, yeah, I show off basically all the collection continuations. That's how I know about like the Awakened Tier 2, for example. So it's all there. It's all chaptered. Again, you're probably only going to care about like the clothing and armor. Wouldn't be surprised. But that tends to be where like most of the profit ends up with. So, all right, cool, lovely. But again, it's not just Halloween. We still anticipate Christmas. And that's like 2 months away, isn't it? Oh, it's slowly getting closer. So, what you might want to consider doing is looking at the previous year's clothing and armor skins for Christmas. So what do we see? Oh, Frozen Santa. Well, that's starting to rise up in price, hasn't it? Oh, wow, yeah, okay. Well, that's not as much, but that's actually looking pretty good. Oh, I think we might need to do a nice little update video talking about Christmas skins. I know they have dropped off a little bit more. As we've gone through Halloween, it has dropped off a little bit more. But the potential to see these rise up in prices looking here for so exquisite. I know this has worked out very well. Snowman backpack, for example. What are you currently sitting here at? $1.50. Yep, $1.49. Only 4 to 4 listings. Very thin. Barter's looking very strong. Scroll down, look at sales history. What do we see? Oh yeah, just drops off instantly. What price did you sell for again? You sold for $2.49. You went all the way down to like, what, about $1? And since then, you've been rising quite nicely. Gone down a fair bit recently. What do you reckon will happen as we go through November? What do you reckon will happen as we reach December? What would happen if we were to see Snowman hoodie and pants? Or like a head wrap and a poncho? Just anything new to, to accompany this. What do you reckon? I think you're starting to realise that there's nice potential here. Or maybe you might consider wrapped face mask, wrapped chest plate. Could we see wrapped... You know what? It would be really funny if we got like some hoodie and pants, but it literally looks as if it's like wrapped up and whatnot. That would be pretty cool. And it would definitely help out the tier 3. Who knows what we're going to see? Maybe you might only want to make a move when you finally have seen all the Christmas submissions. You're more than welcome to do that, but other people are probably going to do that as well. Anticipation starts now. And then the random, like last week, where we didn't see any clothing or anything, just deplorables and weapons. So it's not just this though, is it? It's also 2023 and 2022. Who knows what we're going to see? But yeah, there's plenty of skins that have been accepted in the past. Don't count Legacy Kevlar. Look, Santa's coat. Could we see, could we see another attempt for a collection continuations of that? Because we didn't see one last year. What else do we see? Oh yeah, last year, Mr. Confusion tried to do some like boots and some gloves to accompany this. Didn't work out. Maybe you might consider doing some. Oh, I don't know. What could he do next? Deer skull mask. He could do a Rudolph. Oh, no, it's been done. Well, he could do it again. It's fine. People do other things all the time. So anyway, you get the idea. Plenty of things to look forward to, but you've got to start figuring out what you want to do and what's coming up. Now, if you want to play it safe, which I don't blame you with, all the skins here, they are abnormal, okay? And if you don't know what abnormal skin is, because I always get new people saying, what, Hedge, what's an abnormal? Consider watching my most recent Abnormal Balders video. Consider watching the first 5 minutes of the video. Scroll down, skip ahead to the chapter that says the Balders. Watch what happens. You will realise abnormal skins, they become marketable before the Rust even rotates. You can get an early insight to figure out whether a skin actually has demand and whether it actually retains its value, okay? So, all the skins here, except the boots and the rock, they're all abnormal. Things are looking very interesting here. Things are looking very interesting for that. I'm going to be very scared to see how many sales it gets by next Wednesday. But I'm still in the position, I think a lot of people saw that and just actively wanted it. Although I wouldn't be surprised if there's some people that probably did buy like 1,000. It wouldn't surprise me. All right, then, cool. So I feel like we got like the main point across, and I feel like most people probably understood the ramblings of Mr. Hedge. So yeah, just keep an eye out, see how things pan out. And let's hope that with the change to, well, November, if you aren't fully aware, naval update's been delayed. If I could just quickly switch over to here. It's now December, which I'm totally fine with. Consider this. A month of playing with the boats. Perhaps people might have gone, you know, maybe they would have got a bit bored of like roaming around in a boat after about a whole month. But now the fact that it's in December, it's still going to be pretty fresh about 3 weeks in, as we enter that Christmas period, you know. The 2 weeks, which Christmas and New Year's, where people just aren't working as much, kids are out of school, out of college, you get the idea. Plenty of time to be attacked on boats and whatnot. And it's also going to be the Christmas update as well, so you're going to have like Santa flying around and stockings inside your boat. Well, that's what it's going to be like. So yeah, this doesn't feel like it's going to be an end of the world scenario. It still looks like it's going to be very good for the end of the year. So yeah, things are lining up pretty nicely. But unfortunately, for Halloween skins, they're still likely to go down during this period of time. So yeah, point made, understood, all good. So yeah, I've definitely talked about this in the past. 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. So keeps on happening. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that needs to be said. I will say this. If you're going to be like quite clever about it, maybe the skins aren't the best thing to chase after. Maybe a very smart barter might be the way. So like take for example, I've done this last year and I'll probably do it again, and you could consider doing it with the Replicate this year. Look at the mummy wraps as our example. It got brought back down to $6. I saw this happen last year, and I knew the routine. I knew what was going to happen. Learn from how they sell over the course of a year. So this will go down to around $6. Pretty close to it. Scroll, 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 scroll. Look at the entire previous year. So if I could go back to the previous year. So, yep, it's reintroduced in October 2024. Goes all the way down. Drops down to about, what, like $6 there? Yeah, perfect. Starts to rise up instantly around December, January time, post-Christmas time. Kind of like drops a bit around the Easter dip. Rises up ever so nicely as we go through the summer. Drops off again because people knew what was inevitably going to happen. Unfortunately, some people don't realise that these items get brought back. I knew. I sold all of mine around here. Bought them for $6 each. Sold them on average for around $11 each. Now, if you can afford it, it wouldn't be too bad of an option. But maybe try and pick some up with a decent buy order. Try and grab some that are cheap on the Steam market, perhaps. Because these do go back up in price around the summer very nicely. To around $10 to $12. It might not sound super great to you, that's fine, but it is reliable. It does happen quite a lot. And you can see that happening with a lot of these other items. With Replicate being fairly new, this was actually rising up in price quite nicely before we even reached Halloween. So over to here, right now it's at $6. What's the price it's selling for? Oh yeah, $6. Scroll, 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 scroll. What price did you reach up to around the summertime? Because I actually bought a few. So over to here, I can confirm at its peak, it actually is around now, just before we had the update. So will it drop off again pretty badly around Easter time? Around March and April time? Oh, well, that's definitely something to consider, right? Keep an eye out. Maybe a smart barter might be the way, but we'll see how it all turns out. And again, just go learn from the other items here. It's definitely worth a try. That's it. Clothing and armour does appear to be the most interesting thing in regards to seasonal updates. Next week, will we see Ghost Guys, or Pumpkin Armour, or Slime Monster, or Awakened, or any other interesting clothing armour piece that's a collection continuation from a previous clothing armour piece from Halloween? We shall see. Thank you very much for watching the video. I greatly appreciate it. Best of luck to each and every single one of you. And I think, as I said, I might need to do a Christmas update video. I think I do.